London matters. And I'll tell you why London matters, because what happens here shapes the whole country. And we've seen, as London's declined, the country has declined. And it's exactly for that reason, it's exactly because London matters, that the establishment, the politicians, the journalists are trying to keep us out of it. When we say London crime is rampant, what do they say? We're exaggerating the numbers. We're spreading dangerous rhetoric. They say London's thriving. They call us racist for simply telling the truth. And it works, because I've been doing a tour of London, and so many amazing candidates come up to me, and you know what they tell me? They say, I want to stand, but I'm scared. I'm scared of getting fired. I'm scared of being called racist. I'm scared of being smeared just for standing up and saying something's got to give. And that's what Labour have done. They've tried to kill the democratic process by intimidating people who want to stand, and telling people in London that only one opinion matters and only one opinion is correct. Well, I'll tell you that Reform is here to say no. We've only been around a year, and I've spoken to so many people, Labour and Conservatives, who will support us in London, because they know the truth that if we win in London, even if we win a little bit in London, the order falls. The heart of Britain goes back to Britain. Now, Reform is about taking control back of London, city by city, ward by ward. And when I was elected as a councillor, it was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. How many of you have been to a count? Wow, quite a few. And there's nothing more rewarding than seeing those ballots with your name on it. Some of them were just me, and they had a choice of 3. And seeing that ballot with your name over and over again, knowing that people left their house to vote for you. And that's what you're doing for Reform, because people never had a choice in London before. They only could vote Conservative and Tory. And Tories would just muddle along saying, Labour's going to mess it up, we'll just win next time. They tinkered around the edges, because they didn't have to hustle for your vote, because they were entitled to power, entitled to vote. And now for the first time in London, people have a choice. It's not about left or right anymore. It's about, do you want London restored to help a credible city it is? And I'll tell you a story, what you're fighting for when you run for council. This is actually why I'm here secretly, is to convince you all to run for council. Now, I can see the faces. Not many are going to be convinced. But even if I convince some of them, you are fighting Londoners who are voting you out. They're writing policy against you. They're writing policy to prioritise those that have been here for 5 minutes over those that have built this system. For instance, I used to sit on policy and scrutiny in when I'm a Westminster councillor, and I scrutinised Labour's policies. And one of the policies was their new policy for homelessness. And I looked at the policy, and it said this policy will only prioritise 3 groups: LGBTQ plus groups, people from the global south, in brackets, Arabs, Pakistanis, and Bangladeshis, and they had to slip in women. The next page of the report said 60 to 80% of homeless people in Westminster are white men. So I put my hand up and I said, can I ask a question? Why are we prioritising those 2 groups? Are those 3 groups, are they marginalised? And second, why are we not prioritising white men? What do you think happened? Exactly that. They shut the meeting down. They banned me from ever asking a question. They're like, we will not engage in the. And by the way, I am from the global south, so I am racist. And we will not engage Councillor Cunningham in any more dangerous rhetoric or conversation. And my Conservative whip prevented me from ever asking a question again in case they lodged a racist complaint with Council. I was silenced. And I was bullied into silence. And I know that under Reform, that will never happen. And that's never going to happen. We have a political class that won't stand up for you, because all they care about is maintaining power. Another example, and I'll shut up after this. I was on planning, and there were 2 applications. And this is just to tell you what's going on in London under a Labour-led London. And any of you know Harrow Road? Yes. Yep. So I was sitting on planning, and there were 2 applications. One was for a very troublesome state school called Paddington Academy, I don't know if any of you know it, and it was for a separate entrance for sixth formers. And those sixth formers there's prolific knife crime amongst them and gang membership. So they wanted a separate entrance to be able to search them as they come in. There were 3 residents who said no. And the Labour guys said, you know what, we're not going to accept this application because 3 people said no. And I said, but hang on, we're going to be saving a bunch of teenagers who never had any interaction with adults. They were adamant. The next application was for an ad hoc mosque in a basement on the Harrow Road for 200 men to come and pray 5 times a day. We had about 100 objections. How many do you think we heard?
None.
0. I was the only one who objected to it, and I'm Arab and Muslim again because I don't think you should have a mosque wherever you want. Regent's Park Mosque is not far. Even in the Middle East, you don't just rock up and set up a mosque in the basement of a shop. But I'm the only one who said no. They thought it was an excellent application, despite having so many objections. And that is just a short snippet of what you're fighting against. Who's seen the homeless people on Park Lane?
Yeah.
So residents have written to the Labour MP, and you know what she says? She says eviction is a last resort because it's all about treating them with kindness and making sure they're okay. They are actively legislating against us in our own city, and you can see it, you can feel it. It is not the proud city you have before. So, if you don't want to stand, please support the party, because honestly, it's the last chance this city has. And give Londoners a choice, a real choice for change.